everyone, it's the time of making New Year resolutions, and within 2 weeks, it will be time to break them off. So, today we are here to talk about habits in general, be it in the form of New Year resolutions or not. We are two psychologists who will be talking about how to build habits that stay, that stick. For that, we'll be covering 4 barriers, mindset barriers mostly, that can come in the way of sustaining your habits. For that conversation, I am today joined by my colleague and a good friend, Thomas. How are you doing?
I think I'm a little bit energized right now, although I am tired physically, but good to be here. I'm hoping that this conversation will be something which will be, again, rejuvenating for me as well and for the
I hope
viewers.
so too. I hope so too. And because you're saying you're tired, also letting the viewers know that Thomas is a practicing professor. Sorry, he's a teaching prof. He teaches as a professor in a college, which is why he's very tired. Along with that, he's also a PhD
Mm.
scholar, which is taking a toll on him right now.
Yeah, that's me. That's what you see on my face. Right? I think loss of hair also. Yeah.
Oh my, let's not go to the loss of
Yes.
it. Anything
Yeah,
else
let's
that
let's
you'd
blame
like
it on
to
Bangalore.
let's
Mhm.
totally blame it on the Bangalore water. The salt, the sediment. Oh. But hey, anything else that you'd like to add, Thomas, to tell the viewers that why should they listen to what you're going to say?
I don't think I'm a good salesperson. I mean, I'm glad I'm not in that profession. But it's a very difficult question when anyone asks, like, tell me about a little bit about yourself. When they ask for these bios, right? Can you send a bio
Yeah,
about yourself and then we'll introduce? Like, I don't have anything. I mean, there's a lot of things, but I don't like listening to them. But yeah, I think one of the things that we are talking about is the habits and all of those things, and the approach that I come from, which is acceptance and commitment therapy, which is usually pronounced ACT with the
hmm,
acronym. It kind of gives a little different view than what the world tells you. Like it talks about, just being a little bit more human, just be
hmm,
compassionate to yourself. And I think with the New Year resolutions and all the habit forming, I think that's what something that is missing, just to be a little bit more
for
human.
sure.
And I think we'll talk about that, when we talk about
Yeah,
um, all of these things, and we'll get into that, how to be a little bit more human. And
it's missing a lot of times. I mean, we are more moving towards AI. So okay,
yeah,
we're getting so much more robotic that now we want to come back to our humanness, which plays
yeah.
a big role in habits 100%. Thinking of New
Mm.
Year resolutions, one thing that I want to put out there is that according to the recent Forbes one survey, it is there that improving mental health is one of the top 3 New Year resolutions this year. I mean, the
Wow.
coming year.
Mm. That's a
Yeah,
great thing, right? I mean, that there are people who are working towards mental health. That means that they are trying to become more human because, uh,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. It's such a proud moment as a community to read that. Okay, first
yeah,
one being fitness, second being finances, third being improving mental health. And
yeah. And
also, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, yeah. And I'm just hoping that they get the ethical mental health services.
I
That,
really hope so. I
yeah,
really hope so. Yes.
yeah.
But
Sorry, you were saying.
yeah, I was thinking that even though it's one of the three in the list, and maybe
Mm.
among various other things, I believe that mental health, you accept it or not, will be a part of anything you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fitness, finances, anything per se, even your
Mm.
hobbies, whatever you pick, mental health is not leaving you. And
Yeah.
that
Yeah. I
is
mean,
why
again,
we're here to talk about those habits.
yeah. I mean, that's why we are talking about how it's a part of, your being human in itself, right? So
True.
that kind
True.
of talks about all the other areas that you have in your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. So I was
Yeah.
thinking we'll just get right into it and start off with the 4 barriers that we're going to be talking about. So which
Yeah.
one would you like to pick first and talk?
Yeah, but I think one of the things that happens, right, when we start making decisions or when we start making these New Year resolutions and, oh, I want to do this, it kind of becomes very, very rigid on our own selves, right? That,
Mhm.
I have to do this. And I mean, like you said in the introduction, right? Oh, after 1 week, we'll break it down. I mean, we'll break the resolution or whatever, but there is no picking it back up after that, right? I mean, it's like, oh, now it's done, it's gone. And that's what we call the all or none thinking,
Mhm.
right? That okay, either I go all in or there is nothing about it. Like, I cannot just, or if I do it for 4 days straight, if I have to do it the fifth day also, otherwise, no, I don't think the resolution is going to work. I think I should drop it. And that's where many
Yeah.
people, like have that gym membership. Um, First week, if they're not going, then I don't think I'll ever make it again.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, all-on-one thinking in itself is what we call a cognitive distortion in cognitive
mm,
behavior therapy, because
yeah,
it intervenes. The mindset that we go with is to make things work in a certain way, but it
yeah,
is like an oxymoron. It takes you into the complete opposite side. Like the moment it's
exactly,
not that, you drop it. You drop it like a hot
exactly.
potato.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. We talked about ACT, acceptance commitment therapy, right? It talks about this thing that there are multiple thoughts that we have, and sometimes we just get fused to this thought, and this is that whole distortion, right? That all or none. Like either it should be like this, or it should not be at all. And if
Mhm.
I get fused to it, if I get like completely booked by it, or we call it hooked, I won't be able to see anything beyond it. Like, oh, you know what? I don't think I can go to the gym, so I don't think I'm good for anything. Maybe I should not
Mm.
have any New Year resolutions at all. Maybe I cannot have resolutions. And that has become a whole narrative, right? I mean, like what you mentioned in the beginning, that well, let's make New Year resolution and then let's break them.
Yeah, and as you were talking about it, a personal example came to my mind of how once I was struggling with doing my yoga in the morning, and this
Mm,
one friend or therapist, I don't know who, just pointed out that, hey, Soumya, wouldn't it be yoga if you do it for 15 minutes instead of an hour?
exactly.
And I got so defensive, but that's my yoga. My yoga is 1 hour of this. Actually, it's true. Because
Yeah.
I was so hell bent on doing that 1 hour of yoga, I wasn't doing anything at all.
Mm,
And as you were saying
mm,
that, I'm also thinking that while we're understanding what all and none is, why is all or none has become such an omnipresent theme? I wonder. You have mentioned media, because
mm.
there is a way that everyone portrays that this is how it should be, right?
Yeah.
What are some other reasons that we're getting so much into the all or none extremes?
Yeah, I think it's the comparisons, right? Like we start comparing that, okay, this is the only way of doing it. And
Uh-huh.
that's a message that we're getting from everywhere around us. Like, the media in terms of not just social media, but, the movies that we watch, the books that we are reading or whatever, especially these motivational books that they're telling us, oh, you have
Yeah.
to wake up at this time, otherwise your day is gone. I mean, you're wasting so much of your time. And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, anyway, I wasted my day. I think today the whole day is gone. And that's again all or none thinking, right?
Yeah. In addition
Yeah.
to that, I have noticed in my clients also that with media and comparisons, a lot of all or none is not just like in one area, like only in habits, but also if
Yeah.
a lot of brown parents, so to say, have
Mm.
also lived in a very all or none thinking because of the generation that they were coming. Therefore, the messages that were passed down are quite similar.
Exactly, exactly. There's a lot of it should be either black or white. There's nothing gray. I mean,
Very
you should
black
not have
and
anything
white it
gray.
is.
And
Absolutely. Especially
yeah.
with emotions, it's very black and white. Or even when
Mm.
a lot of clients, when they come and talk to me, that they can't talk to their parents because they don't understand the gray areas which are happening, which is
Yeah.
what is the entire work of therapy, to address and explore those gray areas.
Mm. Yeah.
And I guess the next three that we're going to be talking about will in itself help with all or none as well, right? So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, as you're talking about all or none, also the second one that we want to bring along is something called the mood dependent behavior.
Mm.
It is
Yeah.
exactly what it sounds like. Mood dependent behavior, almost like you act out of an impulse or urge, completely being sort of controlled by your current emotional state. A
Yeah.
lot of examples can be brought into it, starting from waking up in the morning, not feeling energetic enough, therefore deciding
Mm.
I'm just going to go back to sleep instead of going to my yoga mat, my gym, for walk, whatever. Or
Mm.
in the after a day of work, you're just like, I don't feel like cooking dinner tonight. Let me just order. Yeah.
Mm.
Or I feel like having a tub of ice cream for dinner because I'm not feeling as good. And therefore you go ahead, have like hundreds of
Mm.
calories stuffed in your mouth in one go. Those are
Yeah.
what's happening is that you're being controlled by the emotions that you're feeling in that moment. And I'm sure this is an example everyone will relate to. And I've so often seen myself doing it. I am sure, Thomas, you're laughing. You have experienced it too. If you have an example, I would love to share that.
No, I mean, I was thinking how, there's a very, very fine, distinction between this mood dependent behavior and also what we call like, okay, today I'm just going to be
Yeah.
compassionate towards my own self. Like that is where I think the discipline part comes into play, right? Where you are
True.
realizing that, what, I've been doing this a lot, maybe, maybe I need to do something about it. Comes the right way.
Self-discipline and also much bigger role of mindfulness.
Oh,
Like be
yeah.
aware of from what intention is this action coming. Yeah.
Hmm.
So mood dependent behaviors are a part of dialectical behavior therapy, which is another school of thought in psychology. You need not know about it to understand this. But I made a note of the 4 things that they say are the characteristics of mood dependent behavior. So
Mm-hmm.
one of them, they said it's based currently on your based entirely on your current mood. Yeah, like right
Yeah.
now, how I'm feeling. The other thing was like it is at the whim of your internal emotional state. Why it's important to say that? If it's raining heavily outside and you don't go to the gym, and then you feel like, oh, okay, I don't want to go, that is completely different from feeling internally like, nah, I don't want.
Ah,
So it's
yeah.
internal
Internal.
emotional state.
Hmm.
The fourth one is that it's reactive and impulsive. There's almost no conscious choice involved. It's
Yeah.
automatic. It's just happening before you
Hmm.
realize. Actually, when you realize, it's about 1 or 2 hours later when it's a lot of guilt and embarrassment and shame that kicks in. That, oh my God, why
Yeah.
I didn't do it? Yeah. And the fourth one is, of course, that it does not consider long-term consequences. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's so short-term and in the moment.
Hmm.
That is all that mood dependent behavior is.
Yeah. And when you're explaining this mood dependent behavior is when we can see that distinction between self-compassion based, behavior
Yes,
change and a mood dependent behavior which can be unhelpful. When we're talking about, things, are you
exactly.
able to sit with your feelings and, not in
Oh,
the sense
yeah.
that, I don't want to do anything today, but I'm
Mhm.
sitting with my feelings to understand what are my feelings telling me right now? What are they saying? What is the purpose
Absolutely.
that this is serving?
Absolutely. Let's also
Hmm.
talk about why mood dependent behaviors have become so omnipresent these days. And one of the
Hmm.
biggest things that I see is that we are always told that there are positive emotions and negative emotions.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you were saying, Thomas, that negative is something to crumble and throw.
Yeah.
You should not look at it. You should not think about it. You should distract yourself. You should be in denial, even. All of those things come in, right? We demonize these emotions so much that, of course, when they come in, we want to get them away by eating, by sleeping, whatever your natural response is, by stuffing sugar in your mouth or even going to the extent of having addictions, right?
Yeah.
So, what we're not told, what we're not taught in our culture, I guess any culture for that matter, that I'm exploring more of these
Yeah.
American and British cultures also, no one of us has learned how to understand, contain, and regulate these emotions, because of which these not so mindful actions kick in.
Hmm.
The one, sorry, you're saying something?
Yeah. No, I think there's this book by Glennon Doyle called Untamed, and in
I
that,
love that book.
yeah, in that there's this line. I don't remember the exact line. I was trying to find it. I don't know if that's what made the intent go, but it was talking about how happy is for feeling and pain is for gulping and binging and
Uh-huh.
all of those things. Where that's what I think. I mean, we're going through group work right now. I mean, I'm doing group work with a set of clients right now, and all of the concerns that are coming up right now have a systemic base. Like, there's a problem in the system itself where when you talk about
True.
whole capitalistic culture, where again we go back to social media, like, oh, you need to do it like this only, otherwise it will not make sense. And a mood
Yeah,
dependent behavior also kind of stems from there, right? Where it's like,
it does.
oh, you need to be happy to do this, otherwise why are you doing it?
100% agree, Thomas. 100% agree. There are, like you said, on social media, there's an unrealistic expectation. This is how you should do. I do notice all of these posts on, oh, I woke up at 4 a.m. and looking like this, so fresh and fresh as a lemon. I never look like that if I wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. So, and I never feel, maybe I would say never, because it's also all or none, catching myself in the act.
Good job, good job.
Yeah. But it's very unrealistic that every day I would hit the gym feeling happy and energetic, or I would enter my monthly financial budget feeling like, oh, this is it, right? It is so freaking unrealistic. It doesn't happen like that. And this was one
Yeah.
interesting thing that happened when one of my clients was this only. She was struggling with finances. And while we were talking about it, it came down to the aspect of habit and how there's just no motivation. Like, the common statement where I just don't feel like doing it. Feel so sad and tired. And the conversation that we had was, of course, sadness is not something to push aside, because we're not talking about disregarding emotions.
Yeah.
What's important is to work with those emotions. Is it what? So the discussion that took place was something on the lines of, is it possible to feel sad and open the laptop?
Yeah.
Is it possible to feel sad and look at that Swiggy or Zomato order you made and enter it in your spreadsheet? By the faintest possibility, is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, there was resistance. But at the end of the day, what mood dependent behavior says is that you need to ask yourself how you're acting. Is it a short term gain, or is it for a long term gain that you're
Yeah.
working towards? Which is
Yeah.
extremely important.
Yeah, I think even Coursera talked about it and their, how their courses go. Like, there is that initial excitement that people have. Like, let's say I'm enrolling for psychological first aid. Oh, wow, such a beautiful course. John Hopkins is, the university is going to
Yeah.
give me the certificate. I'm like, very excited. And then, first day itself, I go for 10 hours of learning. And then I'm like, okay, wait, now I feel tired because, I've done a lot. And then it goes down, that initial passion goes down. But what they say is that this is a very usual curve that's there. And I mean, what I've noticed with myself is that's a usual curve with many things that I do. Like,
For sure.
I'm really interested in this, let's get it done. And if it does not end here, right? I mean, if it's a short term thing, obviously it will end here. But if it's a long term thing, it does not end here. And then the passion goes on, oh, why do I have to do it every day? And then it goes
Absolutely.
down. But the interesting finding is if I continue that, if I just, okay, this is really bad right now, but can I just continue right now? Can I just do it right now? And you see that curve again going up, and
Absolutely. And that is where the all or none and mood dependent correlates here.
yeah,
Because if you go like zoop up, then it was very, very, I mean, it's quite
I,
a surety that the mood will be so bad and your body will start responding in such a way,
mm,
excuse me, that you might just drop it, right? And
yeah,
that is why it's important to listen to your body, but also understand why is it responding this way? Is it
yeah,
because you've burnt yourself out by binging something for 10 hours?
yeah,
Or is it some other thing like that unrealistic expectation that you'll wake up
mm,
feeling peppy in the morning? You need to ask yourself that. And that is why entire our conversation is based on personal observation, because whoever is listening to this, yourself the best. Actual sustainable change comes from within.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But all of that, as we're wrapping up the second part, also the mood
mm,
dependent behavior, just understand, reflect on the things that we've spoken about, assess if there are unrealistic expectations in your mind, assess if there are some emotions that are coming up that you've not been taught to contain and regulate, and
mm,
because of which you might be taking these unintentional behaviors that are coming in. And for all,
mm,
you can do self work, and also having a therapist, like Thomas said earlier, is always a cherry
mm.
at the top. So go ahead, do that. But I know the third one that you want to bring in, Thomas, that will also help with both first and second. So please go ahead.